Rhok!
What does the Jake say?
So I'm going to talk about what's actually like to ride a motorcycle, because there's a lot of people who watch this channel who don't ride a bike yet. They're interested in riding a bike, and I find that when I talk about things to know about motorcycling, people seem to like and appreciate these videos. Now there's a lot of videos out there about how to ride a motorcycle, and I'll make one if people really want me to, but there's so many out there, I don't feel like I need to just pollute those people's who got good videos about it, pollute it with more videos about it, because there's probably a lot of good ones already out there. But if you really want it, I could do that. Well, what I want to talk about is what is it like to ride a motorcycle? What is it actually going to feel like to you? What can you expect? What's that sensation going to be like? So those things, you know, until you do it, you're not really going to know for sure. Everyone's going to have a different experience probably too, but I can try to give you some ideas about what to expect and what to pay attention to. You know, this is all outside the actual mechanical controls and whatnot, how to actually ride a bike, just what it's going to feel like and what you can expect. One question I hear a lot of people ask is they say, well, why doesn't the bike fall over? You know, am I having to balance it right now? I'm going like, here, I'll go a little way slow, and without even standing, I'll get way slow, because speedo's not even reading right here. And the bike is okay. Now this takes the most balance when you're going super slow. You know, the slower you go, the more balance you can start seeing, doing it with the wheel there. And that sort of happens naturally, honestly. Your body will learn to just kind of do that low speed wiggling stuff on its own as you become more experienced and familiar with your bike on how it feels. But you know, people, like I said, people want to know, like, is it going to fall over? And no, it's not going to fall over. You can kind of think about that a little bit as like riding a bicycle. I mean, does a bicycle fall over? No, it doesn't take much speed to get the gyroscopic effect going in the wheels that wants to keep the bike upright. You know, a lot of people, when they first start riding, they'll ride around a parking lot because they don't want to go fast. And it's actually some of the hardest riding to do, but it's a good place to start because it's less, obviously it's less risk. You know, if you were to just come up and weave through some poles, that would be, well, don't fucking hit the things. Don't fucking whiskey throttle it into one, or that'll be a bad. Like I said, I don't want to talk about the mechanicalness things of it, but please just learn to do this. If you're panicking, pull these levers here. If all else fails and your brain can't think of anything else, pull these levers, pull both of them in. This one makes the engine no longer connected to the wheel, and this one stops the front. You'll probably low side, but if you're whiskey throttling towards something solid, maybe a better bet. So let's say you first start, you'd probably start with your feet on the ground, and you would, you know, once you get the bike rolling, you kind of learn the clutch point of your bike, when you're up and moving. I said, you know, probably one of the first things you're going to realize is, wow, the thing really does just want to balance, you know, it's not this unshaky, unsteady thing. And the bigger, the heavier bikes you have, the little bit more unstable sometimes they are at low speeds, but some of them are actually pretty good. Like, you'd be surprised, like the Honda Goldwing, by no means a starter's bike, but Honda Goldwings at low speeds are really agile. What might also shock you when the first time you ride is just how touchy things are, like the throttle. The bike's movements, it's up, slowing down and accelerating really is going to be probably, even on a very powerful bike, the snappiness of it may surprise you. So you know, you will have to keep calm with your throttle hand. It's good to learn the friction point of a clutch, you know, that is when you're never ridden, kind of sitting there doing like this. Keep using your legs to back up is really good because you learn that friction point. But I know so many people, like, for weeks when they first start riding, they'll be doing this stuff every flight they take off. I mean, just, you know, no clutch, just takeoffs. And this bike does it pretty easy, but a lot of bikes you're going to end up going like that, you know. I mean, it's not going to loop out. It's not like it's just going to loop out from underneath you. I mean, here's a bike right here that'll wheelie easier than any fucking sport bike, even if you were just to go. That's revving it kind of hard on the clutch. Like, just for a normal takeoff, that's kind of ridiculous. But as you can see, it's with smooth clutch hand. It's all about being smooth with this. It's gonna be fine. You know, you're gonna learn the bike pretty quick, especially if you're riding around the parking lot. You know, you're gonna figure it out pretty fast what your bike feels like. And what's it like to turn? Well, you come up, you get on the brakes, and you turn in. Just like this, you gotta go really fast. Faster's better. when you're doing the low speed turns, when you're first riding around, getting the feel of it, you'll notice a lot of the bike, as it turns in, at low speeds, you actually may get the wheel will want to turn like this. You can actually get the wheel to start turning, and that's not the way when you're actually going fast. See, watch when I'm going slow here. Watch how the wheel actually turns as I turn in. But you normally aren't actually steering your bike in different directions. I mean, if we watch here, we'll go a little bit quicker around this turn, and the wheel doesn't really even turn. See how stiff the front wheel is? It's not really turning. It doesn't really change directions. You could almost lock it and it would be fine. Let's see if I get a little faster, and it won't. The wheel will almost just stay straight. Yeah, see, the wheel's just not turning. It's just, I actually counter steered it slightly going in. You push it out. Don't worry about that. But you are going to feel the wheel at low speeds actually turning. And about turning, when you think to yourself, you know, you get yourself going and you're learning how to brake and stuff, and you kind of getting over how jerky it is at first. You know, you'll have to learn how to be easy on the controls. Don't let it scare you. Just keep going till you're comfortable with it and do your turns really slow. When you actually start to turn, though, it's more about thinking about doing it, I think, with your shoulders, kind of. You just kind of, and you kind of leave your arms a bit more loose. You don't want a death grip. That's going to be hard when you first start riding. You're going to death grip stuff, and you're going to want to, you know, you're going to make your knuckles sore. Riding more relaxed is all throughout your body is good, I think, for almost everything, really. Allowing the bike to sort of doing its thing. But you'll come in and you'll feel the bike sort of dip into the turn, and it's going to be interesting for you. I'd say it's definitely one of those things about taking your time and feeling it out. I think it's pretty easy to see when you first start riding, when you're new to it, why you could fall in love with it so easily. You really are out there. You're just, no matter how good of a car you have and how well it connects to the road, like a lot of old school cars would do, and it's just not the same connection that you have of mechanically being on top of a machine and body inputting what it does. But again, back to turning, you know, when you go to turn, like I said, I feel like it really starts a lot like kind of in your shoulders and stuff. You can almost just think left and you'll go left. You think right, you'll go right. Your shoulders. It is your hands doing inputs on the bars that does, you know, quick directional changes. That's definitely in the handlebars. I'm saying you don't want to think about pushing the bars in one direction or the other. You just want to think about sort of going that way, like I'm gonna go that way now, and just it'll happen. I think even things like counter steering, that's really too complex to explain for this early entry level, but things like counter steering, as I'm going around a lot of these turns, I'm just naturally pushing with this arm back out that way, and that's part of counter steering. Especially when I first go into a turn, I'm pushing down on the bar, but at the same time you're slightly counter steering it, and it's one of those things. Don't really worry about it, you know, especially when you first start riding. If you want to read up on riding technique and counter steering and body position, I think that's always good to read up on it. That's where I've just through reading stuff is where I've figured out a lot of things about when you're going fast and whatnot. But don't try to overthink it. Like, overthinking in general when you start riding is going to be a mistake. You just going to kind of let it happen. Your body learning the controls of your bike, and especially the way your machine works. You know, every machine's going to feel a little different. It's just something that's going to take time. It's just going to tell you something that's going to come to you after a little bit of riding around. I'll do my best to explain it, but again, I've been riding for 10 years, so sometimes it's not as easy for my brain to think of like what's going on, you know, because it just comes so naturally to me. Also, when you first get going, leaving the parking lot, you first get out into a road or a street, I've seen a lot of people freeze up when they actually get the bike up to some little bit of speed and actually start to lean it. A lot of people will panic and just freeze up when that happens. I know the feeling. I can remember cruising around an apartment and around some slow, like, neighborhood streets when I got my R6 for the first few hours, and I'm getting the hang of it. I'm doing okay. This is how this works. But the road starts to lean over, and you go, holy shit! You know, that's when you just need to stop thinking so much and more just do. You just do what feels right, and that's going to be leaning that bike over and turning. And like I said, that'll be kind of like lean where the bars don't really turn. You know, the bike turns, and you'll barely be leaning the thing. It's gonna feel like you're dragging knee. It's gonna scare you probably. And that's just something that takes time, you know. You got to build up to it slow. Don't go out to a back road and fling it around it. That's how people crash on like group rides and stuff. You got to take it easy. A lot of people wonder too, like, how does the bike not fall over? Well, it's the same reason the bike doesn't fall over when you get it rolling. It's just centrifugal force of the wheels and the forces that are acting against the bike in a non-up and down direction, you know, lateral G's that keep you from falling over when you're leaning around a turn. That's how it works. And it's not really worth thinking about. The truth is, it's just worth about doing it. Worth about doing it. You know what I mean? Well, if you guys want to talk more about stuff like that, or you got questions or idea for a video you want me to make and explain something, just let me know. Like I said, I'm trying to do things that help out new riders, especially as we're rolling into summer here in the northern hemispheres of the world. We did that kind of meet.
We're on the bridge. We made it.
Really cool. We had a normal meet with everybody, and they all showed up, and then Sunday was like Sunday's always great. The kids just like, we're on the bridge.